Yo, Bash, you been tripping on them hoes.
I think we're going to be getting started in about 3 minutes. Right, put my timer on here. Make sure we're streaming. All right. Guess I should turn on my camera too, huh? There we go. Frank, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing real good. All right, let me just make sure we are actually streaming on our platforms.
What's that?
Just making sure that I'm actually streaming on our 3 platforms.
Okay.
All right, we are.
I'm just pulling something up here real quick. Just pull something up here.
Okay.
I'm going to send you a couple of links in the chat.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
So when you promote, so that's one, and then here's the other one. So, and of course there's social media, but those will be the 2 things.
Tell you what I have, because I'm going to include in our program notes. Let me just get back to it.
And of course there's my website, but those are the 2 that I'm sharing the most these days. So
I have
cool.
I have working with houses that we're going to put in the program notes. I have your Facebook page and your Instagram and your LinkedIn. So if you have something else, I can grab that.
Yeah, the working with houses, that's really for sellers.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it is our webpage, but it's not really like, the only people I tell about that page is
Okay.
the three links that are about me are the 3 that are on. I put 3 out there. And of course, social media is fine.
All right, sweet. All right, so those will be in the program notes.
Yeah.
And
those 3 and the social media. That's what I would share. So.
All right, wonderful. All right, so what I'm going to do, now that we're live. So Frank, before we get into my my monologue, I want to take a moment and share with you a little bit about the audience that you're speaking to.
Okay.
Yes, and I'm gonna tell them how I met you several years ago. In fact, I met you, Frank, 4 businesses ago. No, it's real. I had a wholesaling business when I initially met you. And then I started a short-term rental business. Then I started a property management business for short-term rentals. And now I'm doing mentorship for short-term rentals. Those are 4 businesses ago. And when I initially met you, you were already mentoring. You were so successful. And so, in this conversation today, I just want to kind of have you chronicle for the audience how you've done all of that and maintain that balance, because you're still happily married, you have adult kids, and it sounds like you're having a blast in life. And that just doesn't happen with a magic wand. There's some work that's required. So
There's a lot of work that's required, to
yeah.
say the least.
So I just want my audience to know how revered you are in my eyes and how impressed I am. So let's get past the monologue and dive into this conversation. I really am excited to have it. So here we go. All
All
right,
right.
episode 76, Leveling Up with Frank Iglesias. Here we go. Here's our monologue.
Before the boardrooms and before the brands, before the businesses and before the breakthroughs, there was a dream, a whisper from God, a vision placed inside of you. And through the struggle and through the sacrifices and through the faith and the fire, you refused to stay small. This is for the ones who rose anyway, for the ones who turned closed doors into open highways, for the ones who never were given a seat at the table, so they built their own. This is for the entrepreneurs who see beyond the now, for the creatives who transform the unseen into reality, for the leaders and the innovators, the risk takers that won't wait for permission to go higher. Here, we celebrate aspiration. Here, we honor the grind. Here, we elevate the vision. Because the road to success was never meant to be easy, but neither were we. We are the sons and daughters of resilience, the descendants of royalty, the builders of legacy, the ones that will outlive our name. This is not just a podcast. This is Level Up. I'm your host, Earl McCray, and in every episode, we bring you real game from real voices, from those who have paved the way to those who are building the way, and to those who will take it further than even imagined. Because it is not about just getting to the top. It's about bringing others with you. It's about breaking chains. It's about shattering limits. It's about walking in divine purpose and power. So, if you're ready to step into something greater, if you're ready to go beyond potential and into impact, if you're ready to stop waiting and start moving, then welcome home. This is where faith meets action. This is where dreams meet discipline. This is where we level up.
All right. So I'm going to stop screen sharing so I can look directly at my audience. We can share what needs to be shared about Brother Frank. First of all, Frank, again, man, this is the third opportunity I've had you on the podcast. And every time I have you on the podcast, it's an amazing response that my audience gets. So for those who are new and have not yet met Frank Iglesias, let me share a couple words here. Today, Level Up Podcast, we are bringing you a real estate beast, in my opinion, a visionary who's not just buying and flipping houses, but he's showing others how to do it so that they're not working hard, they're working smart. For this brother right here, he's been active in the Atlanta market. Where other places you in right now, Frank, besides Atlanta?
Yeah, so I mean, primarily Florida, but we are in effectively the Southeast. We've been looking in
Okay.
Alabama, Carolinas, Tennessee, that kind of thing.
All right. And so you've done everything from renovation to new construction, wholesaling, landlording, obviously flipping. You basically have done it about all that can be done. He's a senior manager at a partner at Working with Houses and the architect of 80/20 VA office systems and a straight up professor. I think that's a great word, a professor when it comes to teaching how to automate, delegate, and elevate your real estate game. But beyond the business, he's a true educator with roots in music and now a movement maker in real estate, showing that people how to buy back their time, chase their dreams, and level up their life with purpose and power. He's been featured in real estate investor newsletters, rocked major investment conferences, and runs powerful mastermind groups for investors and wholesalers looking to level it up. So grab a pen, a pad, a vision board. I would hit record back in the day when we had the mixtapes. We would hit record. This is one of those programs, y'all. Hit record. I bring to you guys none other than one of my mentors, Mr. Frank Iglesias. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great, Earl. It's good to see you. It's good to be back and looking forward to our chat today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Frank, as I've evolved as an entrepreneur and my podcast have evolved, I would say that typically the audience that we're serving right now, I'm giving them a dose of 1 part skill set and 3 parts mindset. Because unfortunately, you could be doing everything right, but if you're not doing it with the right frequency, with the right intentionality, you very well may be working hard and not working smart. You agree with that?
You know, it's funny you said that. I actually pulled up one of my websites and I was like, wow, he's basically saying my website for me. Thank you. So what I did was I've got a website, reicoachingwithfrank.com, because I do like coaching. And I literally changed it recently because most of the coaching I did was kind of like on the side. It was like helping someone here or there. And now it's like, all right, let's give this more momentum. But I didn't want to do what everyone else has done. Well, what does everyone do? Do real estate and you'll be on the beach in 30 minutes. You'll have the plane, the Lamborghini, right? The whole thing, right? And so, and I've never been able to market like that because I'm not a woohoo kind of person, right? I'm left brain. I like to, I'm an analytical person. I like facts. I like figures. And when stuff breaks, I'm tenacious and I don't quit. Yes, which, you know, that, you know, and let's face it, most people get in real estate quit. Let's just be real. That's just, and that hasn't changed. So so what I did is on my website, and maybe it'll evolve, but I put down Fluffless Real Estate, the No Moral Victories Coaching Program. And then I put a headline underneath that says real world deals where moral victories go to die.
Ooh, that's juicy. That's provocative.
But that's the truth. And then underneath, and I was saying that to tie into what you just said, I said immediately after, the problem isn't effort, it's alignment. Most investors aren't lazy, they're scattered. And so what happens is, I've seen the mountaintop of real estate, but I've also seen a really, really dark valley. And I've seen everything. I sometimes think, I feel like I went from the top of Mount Everest to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Well, if you do the math, that's a long way. I think it's something like 10 miles. So whatever the math is. But what I realize is you can do everything quote unquote right. You can give all your effort and it still not work. And it's like, well, what happened? And then I remember reading a book, and I've shared about this many times. One of my favorite books is The Obstacle is the Way. And there's a little chapter in there that literally says, be prepared for nothing to work. And I'm like, wait a minute, be prepared for nothing to work. That sounds nothing like anything I've heard in any real estate seminar, well, ever. I've never gone to a real estate seminar where somebody said, okay, I'm glad I taught you all this stuff, be prepared for none of it to work. That wouldn't sell many programs.
No, it wouldn't. Now, good marketing.
But here's the reality. That is actually the truth. You can do everything right and it still not work. And I've had that experience more than once. Well, didn't you learn the first time? Well, you don't plan for it. So you can have that experience, learn from it, repeat it better, and it happen again. It's the craziest thing. You're like, this is insane. Why is this happening?
Right.
And one of the things I learned is what it really taught me was Frank, you don't know how to quit. I saw the movie Armageddon recently because it's a silly movie, but it's a fun
It
movie.
is, but I love it.
Right. But at the end of the movie, one of the characters, AJ, said about Harry, because they were waiting, press the button to detonate the nuke. And AJ goes, he'll push the button. Harry doesn't know how to quit. He doesn't know how to fail.
Yeah.
And that line really struck me because it resonates. It's like, as investors, we quit oftentimes, but we just wake up the next morning and we're back. We're just having an emotional moment. But that is how I'm wired. It's like, we don't quit. Like, it's at the end of the day, no matter how many times I'm done, I don't want to deal with this anymore. Tomorrow morning, we're right back at it. Right? We have to have that human moment. And I started realizing, wait a minute, why is this happening? And it really what I started realizing is it's alignment. Are we truly doing what we're supposed to be doing when we invest in real estate? If we're investing for generational wealth, we're probably going to get it wrong. That's too shallow a reason. Am I investing
provocative. That's provocative because I think a lot of people in my audience might push back. So say more about that.
Yeah, you can say, we know the buzzwords: financial freedom, generational wealth. I want to buy my time back. Mm-hmm. And I might even go deep and say, I just like to take care of my family. And you know what? Those are all good things. So we're not knocking those things. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is it's not enough to figure out what is it that you as an individual are truly about. How do you know you're truly in alignment with your purpose in life at this time? And that's not an easy question to answer, is what I found. You'll hear people say, what's your why? Well, when you ask people what's your why, you usually get stereotypical answers the vast majority of the time. But if somebody gives you a deeper answer, you usually can go even deeper than what they thought was deep. To truly get, it is truly, it's an emotional exercise to really figure out how to get in alignment. Now, for some people, it comes pretty easy. Mm-hmm. But for the people it comes easy, it's because they already knew what their purpose was. Mm-hmm. But for most people, I have found figuring out how to get aligned to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing is not an easy exercise. And there's a lot of questioning, and there's nothing wrong with questioning. There are questions that need to be asked that we don't like to give the time to answer to. I'll give you, and if you don't go through it, then this is what happens. I'm gonna give you a generic example, but it's generic because it's so common. Frank, I need to make money in real estate.
Frank, before you do that, I want to make sure my audience hears this. So my audience out there, Frank has students all over the country, and they spend a massive amount to invest into his mindset and his skill set training. He's getting ready to give y'all some jewels here for free. So I would recommend you take notes. So Frank, how does a person who's clearly not in alignment figure that out?
Well, here's the easiest way to figure it out. You get into real estate and it's like, I want to flip houses. Okay. Why do you want to flip houses? I want to make money. Okay. Sounds good. Right? Nothing wrong with that. Here's the problem. We already mentioned this. Most investors don't stick around.
They quit.
Within a couple of years, 80 to 90%, they're gone. And so what'll happen is you'll get people that are like, I want to flip houses. Well, what do you mean by flip houses? Well, I want to rehab. I want to fix them up and sell them. Okay, great. Except the work, the effort, the passion needed to really do that well, it's not in alignment with who you are. I see that constantly. There's a lot of people that get into fixing and flipping because it sounds good, it's sexy, it's all these wonderful things. You got the TV shows, but it's just totally not in alignment with who you are.
Let me raise my hand. I was that guy.
Okay, then you get it.
Yeah.
And so you could work on that for years, and some people have, and you might even have some success, and then okay, I'm doing the right thing. But you never really feel fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, and if the fulfillment's not there, eventually the gas tank will run out.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it runs out within a couple of years.
Right.
Some people happen to go a little bit longer. Now, that's one example. What's another example? Everyone says if you want to make money fast in real estate, go into wholesaling. Okay, that's true. That's true. Except if your personality is not go, 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 go,
Yeah.
it's probably not going to work out. I'll give you another example. There's a lot of people out there, and this is not a knock on people, but here's something I see all the time. You see a bunch of people, they do disposition for wholesalers.
They sell the deals.
Right. Nothing wrong with it. But here's the thing, it's basically a job.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to get into wholesaling real estate, or do you want a job? And so I've asked a few, and I'm not going to name any names, but I'm going to share some I've seen. I've talked to a number of disposition people, and I say, you know what? Let me ask you something. Are you enjoying? Oh yeah, it's fun. It's cool. It's this. Are you making good money? Some are, some aren't. Is what you're doing leading you closer to your goals? Your real goals? Here's what I will tell you about most dispo people, and there's a bunch. I can't speak for all of them, but for the ones I've spoken with, not a single one said yes. And so again, is there anything wrong with it? No, but are you truly in alignment with your purpose for why you're even here in this business in the first place? And so what I did was, and so that's why I put that on the website. The problem isn't effort. These are good people working hard. They're not lazy. Some of them are even creating good success.
Mm-hmm.
But are you aligned?
Yeah.
We've all heard the story of someone who's like super famous that killed themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like and if there's no alignment there, or if the alignment's off, the fulfillment's not there, and if the fulfillment's not there, it just, what's the point?
And so, Frank, what's interesting, because my audience don't know this about you, but I do. I know you're a man of faith, and even though you haven't talked about faith or spirituality, how do you layer that on top of what we're sharing now in terms of alignment?
So for me, faith is a huge thing. Like I said, I've seen some very dark places where I even question faith. I'm like, God, are you even real? Now, if someone in your audience doesn't believe in God, then, they may have a different perspective on that, right? So, but for me personally, I'm like, is this even real? Like, this is just, because every time, and here's the thing, every time we think we are going through something that's just bad, whatever bad might mean to you, we have this thing where somewhere in our brain, we think it can't get worse. Well, you've been around life, got a few gray hairs, you realize somehow, anytime you think it can't get worse, sure enough, something else will happen.
Yes, that's right.
It's like clockwork, right? Despite your best efforts, somehow something else happens. And so what I realize is, my thought on that shifted when I realized, and this is something I learned from one of my coaches, life never gets easier. You just get better.
Life, I got it. That's a bar. I'm writing that down. Life doesn't get easier, but you get better.
That's it. So if you can shift your mindset, you mentioned mindset at the top of the show. If you can make that one shift alone, everything changes. Life doesn't get easier, you just get better. So what did I do? So you were asking, how's faith layered in? So one of the things was, I felt like at the beginning of the year, really at the end of last year, I felt like God said to me, hey, he wanted to resonate a Bible verse into me. and it's in the book of James. I think it's book of James, where it says, "Count it all joy."
Mm-hmm.
If it's not book of James, look it up. Just go on the online, "Count it all joy" Bible. It'll tell you exactly where it
I'll
is.
put it in the program notes.
Yeah, and you can keep reading the verse and all, but basically it says, "Count it all joy when trials, tribulations happen, because your faith will be made complete," and so on and so forth. Persevere and all these things. But if you just stop after 4 words, count it all joy. And so what I realized was, do I believe that? Well, what does the word all mean? It's very complicated. All means all, everything, all encompassing,
All encompassing.
0 exceptions. And the problem is, as people, and how does this translate to real estate investing? Because if we don't get this right in our spiritual life, whether we believe in God or whatever we believe in, it's just going to translate into our business. So again, it's going to translate into our mindset. It translates into everything. I had to learn, count it all joy means no matter what happens,
No matter what happens,
it's cool.
regardless of the circumstances.
Like the world might say, this is the worst thing ever. It's cool. It's all good. And so what I've been doing this year is every day, almost without fail, there's been a couple of days where I've had a hop catch up, but every day I'm making a post online on my social media about just, here's a little scenario, here's the life lesson, count it all joy.
And
Because say, well, why are you doing it?
I've been seeing
it,
and it's good stuff. I've been following you.
Well, I appreciate it. And I'm really doing it for me, and hopefully it helps other people. But what the first thing I realized was, it's a daily challenge and a daily reminder. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter what anybody says, their opinion, what they think, what the economy is doing, what the president is doing. Do I like the president? Do I not? The politics this, the media that, the social media this or that. What happened with the car, the cow, the tree, the police officer down the street who held up traffic. It doesn't matter. And we can go on and on and on with circumstances. Personal, professional, it just doesn't matter. The Word of God said, count it all joy.
Yes.
The question is, do we have the willingness to do that?
Right. And
if we can get that right, all of a sudden, when crazy things happen in this thing we call real estate investing,
mm-hmm.
then it's, oh, the contractor didn't show up. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, something happened with this closing attorney or title company. Okay. Something happened with this lender. Okay. Somehow with the realtor. Okay. Something happened because, a tornado hit the house and a tree fell on it, which happened with a house we bought once. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, you realize none of that is the end of the world. Even though people will speak, especially if it's someone with a dramatic personality, you realize it's okay. It's cool. Okay. And now what happens? You're redefining, it's the wrong word. You're not redefining the narrative. You are defining the narrative. You're taking control. Because the event that happens is going to happen whether you want it to or not. Whether you plan or not, events are going to happen. You could be the most planned person in the world, things are going to happen.
Right.
My wife is extremely great at planning. You know what I've learned? Things happen.
Exactly.
I've seen people that are not good planners. Guess what? Things happen. And a lot of times the things that happen you don't expect, they're beyond your control. Usually it didn't even cross your mind that it could happen.
Right.
But there's a moment between the event and your emotional response where you get to take control and define what it means.
So you define what something means.
100%.
You define. And I'm resonating with what you're saying so much, because by you having the ability and the responsibility of defining it, it allows you not to get so high or get so low so you can remain even.
And that's absolutely pivotal.
Mm-hmm.
One of my coaches always says it, when emotion goes up, intelligence goes down, 100%.
Another
So
bar.
why even get into the emotion in the first place? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm saying it like, oh yeah, it's just a skill. And it is a skill. It's a muscle. You got to practice it. You got to work it. But I'm human. Sometimes things happen and I get emotional. I mean, we're all human. So this is one of those things you never really completely master. But I've gotten a lot better at it. Another person said to me something that's really resonated with me, because I'm doing a rehab with a partner right now.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'm just like, just having one of those moments, right? Human being moments. And he calls me up and I have to tell, and I remember what another person that's coached me has said. He's like, you know what? When you're the owner of a company, you're not allowed to have a bad day. Now, you might be having a bad day, but you're not allowed to have a bad day to others. I wish I had known that several years sooner. Would have saved me a lot of time and grief. Now, again, it's not easy because we are human, right? We do have circumstances. We do have things that challenge us, press us, really challenge us to the core of who we are. Like, why are we here? What are we doing? Oh my gosh, right? Like we've all been there. But if we can just apply these nuggets, and so that led me to learning about again, for me it was just this impression of this verse, count it all joy. And so that's what I'm doing for 365 days. I'm going to write 365 little social media posts on this. And the coolest thing is I've had people approach me in non-real estate places. I'll give you an example. I like to drive. So I meet people at like car rallies. We'll go for some drives. And one day, this was about a month or so ago, this lady comes up. She's a real estate agent. She's a broker, got a brokerage. And she's like, I just love these posts you're sharing, and it's so wonderful. And she's sharing them, some of them with her agents. I didn't know that. Like that never crossed my mind. But I was so you just never know,
right?
So I've learned, man, just put out what needs to be put out. Be obedient. Put those things out.
Right.
And remember, you might be having a bad day, but when you put your public front on,
only you should know.
You need to put out, because nobody wants to hear our horrible things, right? Because then it just brings them down, and we all know misery loves company.
Right.
So don't contribute to misery loves company. You might be having a miserable day and it may be 100% justified. Great. And that's where it goes back to, okay, I get to define what this means. I don't have to stay miserable. I can change that, and I can change it right away. Count it all joy. Okay.
Love it.
All right.
Love it.
And the minute you do that, the brain starts realizing, okay, XYZ, count it all joy. Your perspective shifts, idea shifts. It frees your mind up to work again. Because when you're emotionally high, emotionally low, the brain is like, locks down. But when you keep that even keel, you're forcing your brain to get back to a place of not just even keel, but it opens you up to different perspectives, different ideas. All of a sudden you see things that were right in front of you that you didn't even notice, and it's a process. It's a process.
I love it. I love it. So Frank, I want to go into segment 2. So in segment 2, so my audience loves a good origin story. We haven't had a chance to hear your origin story. And I want you to kind of share with my audience the business that you've built, how you're building, bringing value to individuals and to the marketplace. And then on the latter end, we're going to talk about some actionable steps that people who may be, maybe at the beginning of their journey or in the middle of their journey can take just based on some insights that you've seen and experienced for yourself as well as others. So tell us about your origin story.
My origin story?
Oh, yeah.
So, we got, back in the day being I was still an IT professional, I got into this idea of real estate through Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? Got the email, hey, go to this 2 or 3 hour thing, whatever. I don't remember how long it was, but it was curious. We were casually interested in real estate. Just sounded good, like does for many people get involved. Went, and you know the drill. Oh, that's pretty fascinating. Oh, there's a 3-day. All right, let's go to the 3-day. The 3-day leads to spending $18,000 in training.
Right. So
And
was
we
it 18,000 then?
It was.
Okay.
It was the first real estate training we'd ever bought. That's why I remember the number. You always forget. You never forget the first one.
Yeah.
So it was 18,000. We bought 3 courses from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And one of the lessons I learned early that I didn't give enough weight to because I didn't have the coaching yet was most people quit. We talked about it earlier. And here's how I know this, because I went to these courses, and you got to keep in mind, this is all like happening during like the crash of '08. I bought these courses late '08, and I went to them like in '09 and 10, I guess it was something, so I'm still brand new. And so, there's a lot of the sky is falling, right? The world is coming apart, all these things that were happening with that financial crisis. But I didn't really understand that. I was an IT professional just trying to do this thing called real estate. So I didn't really understand the pain that was being created at that point. And, we didn't all have social media quite as plastered to our life as we do today. It was a different world, right?
True.
But I'll never forget, I went to a symposium, they call it a symposium, that Rich Dad did in Atlanta. Big ballroom, probably a few hundred people there. And this one person's like, hey, let's get all the Atlanta people together. And so one of the breakout sessions, like a bunch of people that were in Atlanta got together, and there was like, 25, 30 people. Okay, so it was a nice little group. And I remember taking down everyone's information back then. Everyone's like, let's all keep up. We're going to stay in touch. We're going to kill it. We're going to be amazing. Did you know that, and I didn't realize this, how impactful this would be, but I did learn that after about 2 or 3 years, out of everyone in that group, there was 2 people still in real estate, me and one other person who didn't even live in Atlanta.
Wow.
And so, but it never clicked that was actually what typically happened. It just didn't click. I was just like, oh, well, that's kind of weird, right? And so
that's a 20%. If my number, that's 2%.
Yeah, 2 out of 25, 30, whatever that percentage is. Well, it's less than 10%. So,
yeah.
But whatever the number is, it's small. And by the way, that hasn't changed to this day. Fast forward, so we start building a company that got, we were always flipping. We did some rentals, some wholesaling. Later, we got into new construction. I remember once, we had thousands on our buyers list. I literally had my VA call every buyer, call or email. And of the however many thousand people it was, we got in touch with approximately 40%. We never found the other 60. Not sure what happened. Search party just didn't work out. But of the 40% we found, approximately 20%, so it was just under 20%, were still in real estate. And if they were wholesalers, it was just under 10%, if I recall. I still have those numbers written down, but it's somewhere around there. And I was like, wow. Which, you know, it was the first time I saw, I'd heard this before, but it was the first time I saw you don't need a big buyers list, you just need quality buyers. Well, we did this experiment, and so now I saw it. The data was clear because we actually talked to them. And it was like, wow, we have all these people that were emailing. No wonder the email open rate is low, because most of them aren't doing it anymore. They don't have any reason to open it. We carried on with our business, building things up. We got huge into new construction. And so this kind of gets into the alignment. We got to where we were basically functioning as a builder. We had a whole team, whole construction team, some amazing people we got to work with, just some wonderful people. And then we realized something. I say we being me and my business partner, what are we doing? We're like, what are we doing? We're builders. That's not what we signed up for. I didn't sign up to know all the ins and outs of new construction. I didn't sign up to know how to build a house in my sleep. It wasn't the goal. So then we began the process of undoing all of that. And that took, and real estate's not the stock market. You can't just go click, turn it off, sell all your shares, you're done. It's a multi-month, in our case, multi-year process.
Right.
And now, do I dislike new construction? No, I actually like new construction, but I don't like it that it became the focal point and the main thing we did. That was never the goal. We literally became a victim of our own success, literally, because we got to where we could buy land deals super easily, and the funding was there, and It was, and I tell people I had started in coaching, then I took like 2.5 years off from coaching, and that's when all the mistakes happened.
Yeah, I wanted you to circle back to that, because I think when I heard you say it initially, it sat with me for a while, because at that point in my career, I hadn't had a coach. I had a coach, then I didn't have a coach. Now I got a coach again, but when I initially heard that, I had no coach.
Yeah, so for us, we started buying all this land, and there was private capital coming in and this, that, and the other, but I didn't have that coach that said to me, are you trying to be a real estate investor or the next D.R. Horton? A miniature, and we even would look at, I even remember subscribing at one point to the Atlanta Business Chronicle. And this is how crazy it was, and how when you're not in alignment, things just get screwed up. If you look at the Atlanta Business Chronicle, they have these top 25 lists. They probably still do today. And it was like, oh, look, to be the 25th, to be on the list, just number 25 in all of Metro Atlanta, the 25th builder had built 35 houses. That was it, 35. They're not D.R. Horton building thousands of these, Pulte, Meritage, and all these guys. Just 35. And I remember our team was like, we can do that. We're well on our way. And it was like, but I didn't have that coach saying, are you trying to be a builder or a real estate investor? What's the real goal?
Right.
So effectively, we got out of alignment. And then we realized, what are we doing? And here's the other issue here is, when you learn real estate, far too often people learn real estate without learning business. Real estate is usually taught in a bubble. Just is. To this day, if you go buy a real estate course, there's probably not going to be a lot in there about business. I got exposed to a business coach, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, time out, stop everything. What is all this about? Why didn't I know this? I want my money back from the people from 10 years ago. I didn't get the complete package. And I'm saying that tongue in cheek, of course, but the reality is we didn't get the business fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, we got to get back to understanding business. Real estate's not a be all end all. It's just a vehicle. It's all it is.
Sure, absolutely.
Business is, there's business fundamentals that transcend all businesses. And real estate is not an exception.
Completely. I
It's just a
completely
vehicle.
agree. Yeah.
And so we started realizing, oh my gosh, we gotta like, and at that moment when we started seeing that, it was like, all right, we gotta get rid of all the new construction and get back to basics. And it's gonna take some time to get there.
So let me ask this, Frank, because I know I might have a person in the audience that may push back and say, well, hold on now. Sometimes you got to experience what you don't like in order to appreciate what you do like. And so that experience in and of itself in the big picture was a learning opportunity and was valuable. So with that in mind, you know, how many income streams are you up to now that you've realigned?
Well, before we get to that, let me speak to that.
Okay.
We never disliked new construction. We just made the mistake of letting it become the core.
The focus. Okay. The core.
And
Yeah.
that just, and so now we develop a negative taste toward it for a period, but it really wasn't new construction that was the problem. The problem was we were out of alignment with what we were actually trying to accomplish. And because we were out of alignment, it's easy to say, well, I don't like doing this. I like this. I don't like this.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds good. This is not. This is fun. This isn't. But all of that is very temporary.
Mm-hmm.
The question goes back to, like we said at the beginning, what's the real goal, and are our actions in alignment with that? Because if they're not, the strategy, wholesale, flip, new construction, multifamily, syndications, being a lender, tax deeds, whatever, fill in the blank.
Fill in
Pick
the
a
blank.
strategy, BRRRR, short-term rental, arbitrage, midterm, whatever.
Yeah. Sure.
All of that is just strategies.
Absolutely.
The question is, what's the real goal, and are our actions
In alignment.
aligning with that? And so we had to get back to basics to figure out, okay, now what do we want to do? So what are the income streams today? So, well, we do simpler projects today. Why? We actually do like fixing and flipping. But what I realize is I don't like lawn projects.
Mm-hmm.
I get bored. Well, you do new construction, it's a year project.
Mm-hmm.
For in most cases. Are there exceptions? Sure, you could buy something shovel ready, and right, like there's no one size fits all, but typically they're longer. And I get bored. Here's the bottom line. And I didn't know this at the beginning, but I learned, to your point about sometimes you have to experience stuff. One of the things I experienced is, you know what? I don't want to keep coming to this house 6 months later. I'm kind of done. You know, we sell houses and we don't typically go back, oh, look, let's go drive by that house. So we said, no, very rarely do I go back and look at them. They have a shelf life. Now, some people love it, right? They're more design driven. They're more driven by that. So again, it's not a good or bad. It's just my alignment. The next person be like, oh my gosh, I am so proud of that. I love driving by and looking at that house I built the other day. 3 years later. And guess what? That's totally cool because that's what resonates for them. So it's not, a lot of times we get into real estate and we're like, what's the right thing to do? What's the wrong thing to do? What's the right thing that puts you in alignment with your purpose? That's what's right. Because if you don't get that right, you will spend tons of time, tons of money, tons of effort, and you're not gonna be fulfilled. You said, and to go back to your point, how many multiple, it doesn't really matter because I could have 10 and if I'm not fulfilled, it's irrelevant.
I'm tracking.
Now,
Yeah.
yes, do you want multiple? Sure. So one of the things we did, so here's something that we do like. was, hey, we learned how to build houses. Okay, cool. Well, what do you do when you build houses? You talk to a lot of people. You see all the trades. Everything from the initial design all the way to the person cutting the grass at the end until the house sells. And everyone in between. And we realized something. I like the idea of maybe getting into some trade businesses. So we started one. We do cabinet installs. Just we're trialing it, see how it goes. But what we did was, we're not going to treat it like we did real estate investing. Let's go take a course and no. Here's the business fundamentals of the business. We're going to learn some things, and we've learned a lot. For the past several months we've been doing this, we've learned a lot. And we're like, okay, to set up a business that's fundamentally sound and get to where it's break even, right? Because our startup costs, get to where it's break even, much less profitable. This is a process. Starting a business that is fundamentally sound and building it the right way takes work.
Sure.
Quite a bit of work.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, so you started your business from scratch as opposed to maybe buying out a mom and pops.
But we're looking at that too, but we haven't done it yet. Because that's a separate thing. Because when you buy a business, like, and right, we get on Instagram, buy a business, it's the easiest thing in the world. They're selling it like they do wholesaling now. Right? Buy and sell business. It's as easy as wholesaling a deal, right? It's it's the same pitch. They might even say, oh, now it's not going to be a get rich quick. I promise you it's not going to be a get rich quick. Usually isn't. And when you see someone that has that amazing exit, as they say, those are the exceptions, not the norm. Just like in real estate, oh, look, they made 100,000 on a deal, 200, 300,000. Yep, those are the exceptions, not the norm. It's no different. But can you buy and sell businesses effectively? 100%. But there's a process to it. I talked to somebody the other day and they're like, yeah, this person, they could talk about selling business. I'm like, yeah, we'd have to, they were running, I said, yeah, we'd have to run a QOE on that to see what's real, what's needs to be added back to the books. And they're like, what's QOE? And I'm sitting there thinking, you're not the guy I need to be talking to. Now, you know what? There's nothing wrong that they didn't know what QOE was. Nothing wrong with that. I didn't know what it was at one point either. But if you don't know what it is,
now QOE, is that the book Traction?
Quality of earnings.
Okay, all right.
Yes. This is business accounting. And a quality of earnings it's basically something a CPA firm effectively runs, or an accounting firm, where they look at the books of a company and they figure out the real numbers. Because a seller of a company will give you the numbers, but there's always things that have to be fixed, adjusted,
Right.
and so
So
forth.
I'm thinking the EBITDA. Is that something different?
That's part of the process to figure out the real EBITDA.
Okay, got it.
It's part of the process. But the point is, there's people pitching it like it's easy. It's something we are looking at. Hey, let's go buy a business. Let's go, let's look at these things in the trade world. Why? Because we've dealt with the roofers, we've dealt with the HVAC, we've dealt with the plumbing, the concrete, the painters, and on and on and on. And so we are starting to look at those and go, hey, which of these businesses can we put in our brand that makes sense? So but we're trialing it by starting our own and seeing how that goes.
Right.
And it's taught us a lot, because now when we go look at some other businesses, guess what? We know a lot more about what we're looking at than we would have been a year ago.
Total sense.
And you also, and the other thing I've learned is you gotta have the coaching. You gotta have people that know this stuff. It's like real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Any business. I run a podcast. It's called What Worked For You. I interview a lot of people that have had a lot of success.
Right. Now, is that one of your streams of income too? Because I actually forgot my original question.
No, that one, I started that podcast to build relationships. And I also genuinely just wanted to hear from people, how did you succeed?
Yeah.
Because and I will tell you, most of those people have coaches. I had the opportunity, for example, to interview John Hewitt. You've probably heard of Hewitt. They did the tax returns.
Yes.
Jackson Hewitt.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to interview John Hewitt. He's been in business 55 years. Like I'm interviewing him. Really, he's just teaching me.
Yeah, right.
For an hour. That's really what. So I encourage everyone to go listen to that episode because it's a seminar. Listen, me interviewing him. Yeah, I'm interviewing you, but really it's a seminar. Listening to a giant. He built up 2 tax firms. Combined, they sold for over $1 billion. Yeah, he probably knows something.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been in business 55 years. Tremendous guy, tremendously, just a nice guy, but so willing to share. And by the way, he's still doing business. They're doing like franchise work now.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, if Frank wants to do a franchise, do I want to do it with the guy that's had 55 years of experience with that kind of exit, or the guy pitching something on Instagram?
Not Instagram.
Right? And I'm not picking on Instagram, but anyone can pitch anything on Instagram.
Right.
But the thing is, what would John Hewitt be to me if I wanted to get into franchising? He'd be a coach.
Be a coach. You'd be a mentor.
It's like, okay, I'm buying into your franchising program. Really what I'm buying is your coaching, because the wisdom you have, that's irreplaceable.
Yeah.
And so I share with people, you need to have a coach, not just a coach that's had success, but a coach that has also had big failures. I've had the opportunity now to be around a lot of successful people. And successful isn't, oh, I did 10 deals. It's people that they've seen the mountaintop, but they've also had a real dark moment. And what I've learned about every one of them is the people that are truly successful, every one of them had an insane dark moment.
Yeah.
But you know what? Those insane dark moments help us appreciate the mountaintop.
Right. Because they push. They get through it. They don't quit. They're consistent.
Right. And you realize, you truly learn what does good look like and what does not good look like. And remember, whether you're in a place where it's really good or really bad, count it all joy. It's all about your perspective.
I love how we came full circle. So we have 2 questions left. The plane is circling the airport. So we're gonna land this plane by asking, first question is, tell my audience your elevator pitch. How do you bring value to the marketplace? How do you help individuals looking to take their lives to the next level?
I'm glad you asked that question. I've been asking myself that question a lot lately. That's literally a question I've been asking. And one of the things I actually did, and you've probably seen this on Facebook, where it's like you come up with some big prompt on ChatGPT. Now, be honest with me. Tell me, based on what you know, right, the whole thing. Which, by the way, it's a good exercise. You may agree with what it tells you, you may not, but here's the beauty. Whether you agree or don't, or you partially agree, it gets your brain thinking. It's one of the beautiful things about ChatGPT AI is whether you agree or disagree with the answer, it gets your brain thinking, which is the beauty of it. But one of the things I've learned is and that's why I put on the website, I tell people, if you want to learn real estate and you need the hype, I'm not your guy. If you need rah-rah, I'm not your guy. I'll be your cheerleader, but that doesn't mean every week is going to be, or every day, or however often you want to talk is to be a cheerleading session. No, it's the first 3 words on my website: fluffless real estate. If you do 0 fluff, I'm your guy. If you need fluff and rah-rah, I'll go to the UGA football game with you and we'll stream together. But I'm not, but real estate.
There's the mentor and there's the motivator. What do you want?
Things. Yeah. It could be the same.
Yeah.
It could be the same,
Well, you know, your
but
mentor tells you what you need to hear, not
100%.
necessarily what you want to hear.
That's true. And so the second line on my website says the No Moral Victories coaching program. And here's something I learned. How do I bring value? I will tell you, and I've heard it, I've said it, I've heard tons of investors say this. You know what? We did a deal, and this happened to me several times. We did a deal, and you know what? We didn't make money. We might have even lost money, but you know what? I learned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you know what I've learned? After a while, you don't need to repeat that experience multiple times. In fact, it's better if you just don't have it at all.
Facts. Facts. Yeah.
So you know what? You didn't get your life, you know what? Your life goals, there's a good chance you did not write this down. I want to do this. I want to do this for family or friends or travel, or I want to get the cool car, whatever it is. You probably did not write down, I want to do some things where I did get some moral victories. I don't know anyone that's ever wrote down a goal, moral victories as a goal.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's
No.
not a goal, why would we be okay with it?
Right.
So I put on my website, the No Moral Victories coaching program, because I'm not into moral victories. I would rather, so now I tell people, and this is a client of mine, I showed him a formula on how to analyze deals. I kid you not, he calls me back a few days later, not even a week. And he's like, Frank, 90+% of the things I thought were interesting are not deals according to your formula. That's the point.
Wow.
Because if you do them, it's just going to be a moral victory.
Mm-hmm.
The very last house we built, we ran into a similar scenario. I was like, no. And it wasn't because of the house, it's because we were wrapping it up when the interest rates went. We literally went to market when we were capping out at the interest rate hike. It was like the worst time, but like nobody planned it. That's just how it went down. But what that taught me was enough. We will never do another deal that's a moral victory. We will not accept that. I would rather not do it. And I coach people and I'm like, if it looks like it's gonna be a moral victory, just don't do it. It's not worth it. Now, if you're bored and have more money and you know what to do with, maybe in that scenario, right? Because it doesn't matter, you're good. It's not affecting anything. But that's not most real estate investors. In fact, that's hardly any of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's too much work, it's too much effort to settle for a moral victory.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I bring to the table is we're going to put that to rest. And we start, the very first thing we got to start with is alignment. Because if the alignment's not there, you're going to end up with some moral victories.
I love it. I love it. So Frank, I'm going to be posting your social media links in the post description below. But share for my audience a few of your social medias,
Oh, hold on.
and then I'm
we
going to
had
ask the
like an
last
audio
question.
freak out. Hold on one second. What happened here? Wow. I'm sorry. The audio like just totally died. What just happened?
I hear you fine. I hear you fine.
That was bizarre. Let me see if it comes back. It's on my end. Let's see.
Can you hear me?
There we go. I'm sorry. My speaker just went.
No,
So,
no worries.
it was
So-
on my end 100%.
What I was saying is I'm going to be sharing all your social media information, but do you just want to echo out to my audience real quick how they reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple ways you can reach me. Obviously, there's social media. Facebook is where I'm most active. If you send me a message on Instagram and LinkedIn, I will see it. I don't check those nearly as often. So Facebook, message me on Messenger, by far where I look the most. I also have a Facebook group where we're just starting to build it up, but what I want it to be, it's called the Flip and Flow Network. So if you go to facebook.com groups, the Flip and Flow Network, And that's where I really want wholesalers and rehabbers in particular to connect. The purpose is education based. Like 99% of real estate groups are a pitch fest. Everyone's pitching their deal.
Yes, true.
There's not a lot of groups where that's driven by education. Very few. And I know I've literally have a spreadsheet with hundreds of them on there. And the list of where it's like, oh, here's a page where it's mostly not people pitching deals. It's really small on the spreadsheet. Most of them are just, that's just what, and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not down on it. But this group is geared around education. So if you want to meet people and connect with people and hear about some educational things that I'm going to share, that's I encourage people to check that out.
And
My
that was
website,
the Fix and Flow Facebook group.
Flip and Flow.
Flip and Flow.
Yeah, go to Facebook and go Flip and Flow Network, and it'll come up. So, and I think I call it Where Wholesalers and Rehabbers Unite, something like that. So,
Got it.
If you're interested in my coaching, reicoachingwithfrank.com. If you want to check out what's there. And it's not a fluff, by the way, not only is it fluffless real estate, it's not a very fluffy website. So if you need like a bazillion colors and, all these cool, beautiful things, yeah, we haven't got to that yet. It's no fluff. It's actually a perfect reflection of who we are. It's like, here's what it is. Do you want the real deal, or if you want fluff, I'm not your guy. If you want, but
no sizzle, just a steak. I got it.
You want to get real and get it done and make things happen, let's talk. So between that and I said my social media, and I always tell people you could call us too, 678-408-2228. We do check voicemail. So if we don't answer, leave a voicemail. It's amazing how many people call and don't leave voicemails. I'm like, people still check voicemail.
Right. If you don't leave a voice message, you didn't call.
Well, and you think of it this way, and let's talk about it super brief, because people love to text. But the problem is we're all getting a bunch of spam texts every day. We get a bunch of calls every day. Most of them are spam. And that has nothing to do with real estate. Like I've talked to friends of mine that have nothing to do with business even. And they're like, man, I just wish I wouldn't deal. There's just a lot of spam out there. So when you leave a real voicemail, it's like, oh, it's a real person that left a voicemail.
Now that's a lesson for me too, because in my marketing journey, I've kind of been on that pendulum. Do I call? Do I email? Do I text? Where's gonna give me the highest ROI? So
they all work if you follow through on them.
Right.
So if you're gonna call and they don't answer, leave a voicemail. If you're gonna email, that's fine, you can email, but follow up on the email. If you're gonna text, that's fine, text. You'd be amazed how many people text one time, you don't respond in 10 seconds, and they think, oh my gosh, they just don't care. It's like, well, guess what? I don't live by my phone.
I got a life. Yeah.
And maybe you do, therefore you think, and so here's the lesson. Be very careful when you communicate that you don't project impressions of other people based on how you act or you live your life. Well, I'm used to texting, therefore everyone else should be texting. Well, I live on email, and some people love email.
Yeah.
And then if you try to get them on the phone, it's like an act of God.
Right. It's true.
Right. And so the real thing is, hey, when you communicate, use all three: text, phone, email, do them all. Figure out what works best for your target. Meet them where they're at. I love it. Now you're gonna get somewhere.
So this is our final question. So because this is called the Level Up Podcast, we don't just talk about success, we execute. So Frank, if someone is listening right now, they're inspired, they're ready to move, but they don't know where to start, what would be a good starting point for them?
Someone doesn't know where to start?
Yeah.
Figure out what you're about and then go hire a coach. But you got to figure you out first. Now, you might need help figuring you out. You might. Now, you may not. Some people, crystal clear, they know exactly what they want to the nth level of detail. Fantastic. But that's not the majority. But you might be, like if you're listening, you might be that person. Everything is crystal clear. Awesome. But for the majority of people, and this was myself and many people, we get into this business of real estate and we're not crystal clear. We're not crystal clear. And so we need that coach to help us get clear. Okay. Now, one thing you can do that's a fantastic exercise, and maybe we should do this. Like I've been thinking maybe I should do this on a real show one day, is it's a beautiful exercise called 7 Levels Deep. And what 7 Levels Deep is, it's when people say, hey, Earl, what's your why? And you might tell me X, Y, Z. You might say, and I'll say, okay, then, that was the first question. Question number 2, why is that? And then you would tell me why. And then question number 3 would be, why is that? And we would ask this 7 times. Well, what I've learned is by the 3rd or 4th question, people are about to pull their hair out and they don't know what else to say. And what we really accomplished was we got past all the superficial answers. So the conversation of what your why is doesn't even start till you're probably 4 questions into the exercise. Because everything you set up to that, almost verbatim, is superficial. And now it becomes a difficult exercise. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. And it's like, and you could see people are like sweating, and I've literally seen people sweat doing this exercise. They're like, I don't know, this is hard. I've never thought about it. That's the point. That's the point. You think you thought about it, but you've never really thought about it. And then
I can see if someone were to pose me with that question 7 times, how my brain would really have to block out all of the white noise.
It's not an easy exercise.
Yeah.
And so I tell people, you do this exercise for every one of your goals. Whether you have 2 goals or 20, it doesn't matter. And when you do this exercise, if you do it right, and how do you know you're doing it right? Your brain will probably hurt when you're done. You have to turn off the phone, go lock yourself in a room. Like you got to be undisturbed, and you really think. It'll probably take you at least an hour if you do it for all your goals. If you have 20 goals, it might take you a couple of hours. Like, it's a deep exercise. But here's what I learned. After you mentally beat yourself up, because that's what you're gonna, if you do it, when you do it right, that's literally what it feels like. It's exhausting. You get to the end, and what you're gonna find is, okay, I had 20 goals. But at the end of, say, 20 goals, and it could be 5 goals, it doesn't matter. But when you look at the last answer to every one of those, you're probably only going to have somewhere between 1 and 3 answers. That's what I typically find. For me personally, I think I had like 15, 16 goals once, the last time I did this. But really, at the end, I only had 2 goals. Real goals. I had a bunch of superficial goals, but I really only had 2 real goals.
I'm excited to try this. To not try this. That's not the word. I'm excited to do this.
Yeah.
Because, we're in the beginning of the, 3rd quarter. A lot of people, are reflecting on, how did I do Q1? How did I do Q2? And what do I need to do to wrap up the year in the momentum and the spirit that I planned out the year? I think this is an excellent task. And, I challenge everybody in my audience to hit the replay button and think through what was just said. I have a book full of notes, and you said something interesting as we kind of wrap this up. Your motivation for doing the podcast is to learn and to network and be in a pool where you're not the big fish in a little pond, but you're the you're the little fish in a big pond, and you're learning. And you share that example of Jackson Hewitt, and that's why I started my podcast, so I could interview people that could gleam and share insight. So I know my people out in the audience think I do it for you, but I actually do it for me too.
No, for sure, for sure. And here's the thing though, when you do that exercise and when you do it for you later and for all the people listening, once you do that and you've, like I said, you've beat yourself up and you're like, okay, this is really what I want, what I really want, not what I think I want, but what I really want at my core, not in my head, my core. Now, when you go find a coach, now you have the clarity to figure out who's going to help you with your goal. See, the problem with a lot of coaches is they'll coach you up here, the superficial stuff. Oh, you want to learn how to flip a house? We could do that. Oh, you want to learn how to wholesale? We did great. But are they teaching you in a way that's in alignment with your goals? And a lot of times that's not the case. It's not by accident that a lot of people hire coaches and they're dissatisfied with results.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you hired them to teach you a skill, but you were never really in alignment. And so they might have done a phenomenal job and you were out of alignment, so you didn't know.
I love it. So Frank, what I love to ask you is this, man. You and I have been doing this for about 5 years. Do you think I could take another swing at the ball 7-8 months from now? Because
Sure.
I want to find out where you are with some of the things that you're working on.
Sure, yeah, no, reach out to me. That'd be fine.
Love it. I love it. Hey, listen, that is a wrap, my friends. My challenge to you guys, always be blessed, but more importantly, be a blessing. All right. Impact somebody else. Take care, everybody. Thanks again, Frank.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.